Dear students, today we are going to study hydrides and hydrogen bonding. So we have already completed many compounds of hydrogen like hydrogen peroxide, water and so on. So hydride is also one of the compounds of hydrogen. So hydrogen is combining with metals and non-metals. It forms different type of hydrides. When you take hydrogen, it forms binary hydrides. Hydrogen forms ternary hydrides. So by combining with metals and non-metals, hydrogen forms different hydrides like binary hydrides and ternary hydrides. Example for ternary hydride is lithium aluminum hydride or lithium borohydride or sodium borohydride. So these are all examples of ternary hydrides. 4 hydrogen atoms present. Ternary represents number 4. Then based on bonding, hydrides are of 3 types. One is ionic hydride, next covalent hydride, the third one is metallic hydride. So what type of bond exists in the molecule? Based on that, we have 3 more types of hydrides: ionic hydride, covalent hydride and metallic hydride. So when you take ionic hydrides like lithium hydride or sodium hydride, the element which is combining with the hydrogen should have the lower electronegativity than the hydrogen. So what is the condition for an element combines with the hydrogen in the formation of ionic hydride? The element which is combining with the hydrogen should have the lower electronegativity value than the hydrogen. We know that alkali metals and alkaline earth metals are having very low electronegativity. So these metals are electropositive in nature. They will have the tendency of losing the electron. Both alkali metal and alkaline earth metal will not have the tendency of accepting the electrons. So alkali metals like lithium, sodium, then calcium. So these alkali metals and alkaline earth metals having very low electronegativity. The electronegativity value will be lesser than the electronegativity of hydrogen, so that it forms ionic hydrides. When you take covalent hydrides, the element which is combining with the hydrogen will have more electronegativity than the hydrogen. You can take methane, ammonia, water. So these are all examples of covalent hydrides. The element which is combining with the hydrogen like a carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, these are all more electronegative than hydrogen atoms. So ionic hydrides are also called as saline hydrides. So how this ionic hydride is formed? So hydrogen is reacting with metals. So alkali metals and alkaline earth metals will react with hydrogen. It forms ionic or saline hydride. What will be the oxidation state of hydrogen here? -1. Lithium, oxidation state 1 plus, hydrogen 1 minus. The same way, when alkali metal sodium is reacting with hydrogen, it forms sodium hydride. Oxidation state of sodium is 1 plus, hydrogen 1 minus. So these are ionic or saline hydrides. The bonding between the ions will be ionic bond. We know that oppositely charged ions will have a force of attraction called ionic bond or electrovalent bond. So in the ionic hydrides, we will have a metal cation and hydride anion. So alkali metals and alkaline earth metals will make ionic hydrides. This is mainly due to transfer of electron. From the metal, one electron is transferred into the hydrogen. Sodium loses an electron, that electron is gained by hydrogen. Lithium loses an electron, it is gained by hydrogen. So transfer of electron takes place between the metal and the hydrogen. So ionic hydride is formed. Usually alkali metals and alkaline earth metals will form ionic hydrides, exception beryllium and magnesium. So these two alkaline earth metals will not react with hydrogen to form hydrides. And usually this formation of ionic hydride will take place at 400 degrees Celsius. So nature of ionic hydrides have given in our book. The reaction is taking place at 400 degrees Celsius. They are like salts, like sodium chloride or sodium bromide. So they are salt-like substances, and due to ionic bond, they have high melting as well as boiling. The substances with a high melting point, and due to stronger bond, it is present in the solid form. It is actually a white crystalline solid. Ionic solids, ionic hydrides are white crystalline solids. So between the metal cation and the hydride anion, ionic bond exists. Then second type of hydride is covalent hydride. Covalent hydrides are also called as molecular hydrides. So when you take covalent hydrides, the bond will be a covalent bond. We know that carbon and hydrogen mutually sharing the electrons. Carbon has the valence electron 4, hydrogen has valence electron 1. So carbon has 4 valence electrons and each hydrogen has 1 valence electron. So due to mutual sharing of an electron, the covalent bond is formed. So methane is formed due to mutual sharing of valence electrons between carbon and hydrogen. So the type of bond exists in the covalent hydride or molecular hydride is covalent bond. So due to mutual sharing of electrons, a covalent hydride is formed. Then covalent hydrides are classified into 3 types. Electron precise. First one is electron precise. Second one is electron rich hydrides. Third one is electron deficient. So consider methane or ethane, silicon tetrahydride or germanium tetrahydride. These are examples of electron precise hydrides. All the electrons utilized for covalent bond formation. At the same time, when you take electron rich hydrides, after the formation of a hydride, lone pair of electrons will be present. Nitrogen has a lone pair of electron, oxygen has 2 lone pair of electrons. So these are the hydrides which are electron rich in nature. So ammonia and water molecules are examples of electron rich type of covalent hydrides. and you can take diborane B2H6, and this is electron deficient in nature. Okay, so this will not obey octet rule. We already said an element which will have 8 electrons in the outermost cell will obey octet rule. When you take neon, in the second cell 8 electrons present, so it is obeying the octet rule. Neon is a stable atom. If 8 electrons present in the outermost cell of an atom, we can say the atom is obeying the octet rule, so it is stabilized. But when you take diborane, octet rule is not obeyed by the boron. Boron will not obey the octet rule. So this is electron deficient in nature. So covalent hydrides are of 3 types: electron precise, electron rich, and electron deficient in nature. And these covalent hydrides are the discrete small molecules. So they are present in the form of discrete small molecules. And between the molecules, weak force of attraction will be present. So like van der Waals force, weak intermolecular forces present. And usually these are gaseous substances or liquid substances. So these covalent hydrides will be present in the form of gases and volatile liquids. The third hydride is metallic hydride. Metallic hydrides are also called as interstitial hydrides. So hydrogen is combining with the metals or alloys. It forms a hydride called a metallic hydride. Example, hydrogen combines with titanium, or hydrogen combines with palladium. So these are all examples of metallic hydrides. The hydrogen is occupying the interstitial positions. We can say wired. Wired is nothing but a hole or empty place in the lattice. When you take a crystal lattice, metallic crystal lattice, lattice is nothing but a place where atoms will be present. So when hydrogen is combining with the metals and the alloys, hydrogen will occupy the voids or the interstitial sites, so that it is called interstitial hydrides. Then why we have to call it as a metallic hydride? The properties of these hydrides will be similar with the properties of parent metals. When you analyze the characteristics of titanium hydride, the property will be similar with the properties of a titanium. This one, palladium hydride, is analyzed. The properties will be similar with the property of parent metal palladium. So these are called metallic hydrides. Hydrogen is occupying the interstitial sites, that means voids, so it is called interstitial hydrides. And the formed hydride is actually a non-stoichiometric compound. We cannot expect one titanium and one hydrogen, one palladium, one hydrogen, cannot be expected. So the ratio is a non-stoichiometric ratio. Equal number of atoms will not be present. One titanium, one hydrogen will not be present. If one titanium is present, hydrogen may be 1.5 to 1.8. One palladium and one hydrogen cannot be expected. Hydrogen may be 0.6 to 0.8. So non-stoichiometric substance will be formed. And these metallic hydrides are inexpensive in nature, and it is a relatively a light substance and highly unstable. So thermally unstable substance, and this metal hydrides can be used in the reversible, rechargeable metal hydride batteries. Okay. So for hydrogen storage, we can use these metal hydrides. So when a metal is combining with hydrogen, it forms two type of metallic hydrides. One is MH, another one is MH2. The two type of hydrides will be formed. The metals which are forming metal hydrides are titanium, zirconium, hafnium, vanadium, zinc. So these are the metals which are forming metallic hydrides. So hydrides are one of the compounds of hydrogen. Next, we move into the hydrogen bonding. So consider least electronegative hydrogen and more electronegative fluorine. So hydrogen with single electron, configuration 1s1, fluorine with 9 electron, configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. So to attain the electronic configuration of nearest noble gas, both the atoms are in need of electron, isn't it? Hydrogen is in need of 1 electron to achieve the electronic configuration of helium. So hydrogen needs an electron to reach 1s2 configuration of helium. The same way, fluorine needs an electron to attain the electronic configuration of its nearest noble gas, neon. So hydrogen has to gain an electron, fluorine has to gain an electron. So transfer of electron is not possible. This will not lose an electron, this will not gain the electron. So both the atoms, least electronegative hydrogen and more electronegative fluorine, is in need of 1 electron to achieve the electronic configuration of its nearest noble gas. So mutually they are sharing the electrons. So hydrogen shares its valence electron, fluorine shares its one of the valence electrons. A covalent bond is formed. So the bond formed between least electronegative hydrogen and the more electronegative fluorine is covalent. But it will not be 100% pure covalent because fluorine is present in the extreme right top portion of modern periodic table, so this has more electronegativity. According to Pauling scale, electronegativity of a fluorine is 4. So fluorine has more tendency of attracting the shared pair of electrons towards itself. Fluorine gets slightly negative charge, hydrogen gets slightly positive charge. So this is not representing complete transfer of electron, but fluorine has more tendency of attracting the shared pair of electrons towards itself. So a polarity is induced in the molecule. So the bond is not pure covalent, it is a polar covalent bond. So we can represent the bond as polar covalent bond. So polarity is induced in the molecule. We can say the molecule is polarized. Now what happens? The second hydrogen fluoride molecule, due to electronegativity difference, hydrogen has a slightly positive charge, fluorine has a slightly negative charge, and there will be a force of attraction between these two atoms. Okay, so consider hydrogen fluoride molecule. We assume that it is a covalent molecule, but due to electronegativity difference, the molecule is polarized. The bond becomes polar covalent bond. It is not 100% pure covalent bond. Hydrogen gets a slightly positive charge, fluorine gets a slightly negative charge. So it is polarized. This is first hydrogen fluoride molecule. We take second hydrogen fluoride molecule. Due to electronegativity difference, it is also polarized. Now the fluorine is an atom with more electronegativity, and this is the hydrogen of next molecule with the least electronegativity. and there will be a force of attraction between these two atoms of two different molecules, and this is called hydrogen bonding. So polarity is induced in a molecule in which least electronegative hydrogen is bonded with more electronegative heteroatom like nitrogen or oxygen, fluorine and so on. So after the polarity is induced, the more electronegative heteroatom is making a force of attraction with least electronegative hydrogen of next molecule. We can say least electronegative hydrogen in the vicinity nearby. Okay, more electronegative heteroatom is making an attraction with least electronegative hydrogen in the vicinity. This type of bonding is called hydrogen bonding. As we discussed in the water, hydrogen bonding is responsible for the existence of water as a liquid in room temperature. Okay. So between the hydrogen fluoride molecules, we observe the hydrogen bond. The covalent bond will be represented by a solid line. Hydrogen bond will be represented by a dotted line. Now, what about the strength of a hydrogen bond? The strength of a hydrogen bond is greater than the strength of van der Waals force. At the same time, its strength is lesser than the strength of a covalent bond. You can take bond energy or bond dissociation energy. For covalent molecule, when you take a covalent molecule, covalent bond will be present, so its bond energy or bond dissociation energy will be greater than 100 kilojoule per mole. At the same time, when you take weak van der Waals force of attraction between the molecules, between the gaseous molecules, sometimes liquid molecules, weak van der Waals force of attraction is present. Its bond energy or bond dissociation energy is less than 20 kilojoule per mole. But for hydrogen bonding, the value is between 20 to 50 kilojoule per mole. So hydrogen bonding is stronger than van der Waals force of attraction as well as weaker than the covalent bond. What is the effect of hydrogen bonding? Hydrogen bonding is making the changes in the physical properties like boiling point, density, then vapor pressure, surface tension, viscosity, then miscibility. When you mix water and alcohol, hydrogen bonding will exist. So many physical properties will be affected by the hydrogen bonding. The hydrogen bonding is of two types. Number one, intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Within a molecule, hydrogen bonding is possible. You can take orthonitrophenol. Orthonitrophenol. Oxygen is the heteroatom with more electronegativity. Hydrogen is the least electronegative atom. So between the hydrogen and oxygen, hydrogen bonding exists. So within a molecule, hydrogen bonding is present. It is called intramolecular hydrogen bonding. One more example is salicylaldehyde. OH, CHO. Between the hydrogen and oxygen, hydrogen bonding is present. It is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Second type intermolecular hydrogen bonding. You can take water. So first molecule, second molecule, and third molecule. Between the more electronegative hydrogen and least electronegative hydrogen, bonding exists. So between more electronegative oxygen and the least electronegative hydrogen, hydrogen bonding exists. Between the molecules, hydrogen bonding present. So this is called intermolecular hydrogen bonding. As I said, this intermolecular hydrogen bonding is responsible for the existence of liquid water at room temperature. Okay, what about density? So when you take water molecules, based on the physical state, density changes. When physical state changed, the extension of hydrogen bonding is also changed. So density value will also be changed. So in the water molecule, each water molecule is tetrahedrally surrounded by 4 water molecules. If you take oxygen, it will be surrounded by 4 other atoms. So we get a 3-dimensional structure. When you take ice, we will have a 3-dimensional structure. So each molecule will be surrounded by 4 other water molecules by a hydrogen bond. Okay. So density value will be low for ice. Ice will have lower density value because of extension of hydrogen bonding for a shorter distance. But when you take liquid water, the hydrogen bonding is existing for a longer distance. And in book, bond distance is also given. For covalent bond, bond distance is 100 picometer. For hydrogen bonding, 180 picometer. Bond distance is also given. So because of this extended bond distance, it is extending for a longer distance. So when you take liquid water, hydrogen bonding is extending for a longer distance. So density value will be changed for ice as well as liquid water. Then not only in water, hydrogen bonding is present in biomolecules also, like proteins. We know that proteins are made up of alpha amino acids. It is a biopolymer of alpha amino acids. So hydrogen bonding exists in the proteins and in the nucleic acids. Deoxyribonucleic acids. We know the structure of DNA. It is a double-stranded helical structure. So between the helical chains, hydrogen bonding exists. The next topic is hydrogen sponge. So you take an ordinary sponge. When you dip it in water, the sponge will absorb the water molecule. Then when we press the sponge, it liberates the water molecule. The same type of a process is taking place in the hydride also. You take palladium metal. When it combines with the hydrogen, it forms palladium hydride. Okay, so this is a metal hydride. So when you take this binary hydride, so in the lattice points, hydrogen is attached. When hydrogen molecule is combining with the metal surface, it is occupying the lattice points. So it forms a metal hydride. So here what happens? the molecular hydrogen is converted into atomic hydrogen. We call it as atomic hydrogen or nascent hydrogen. So what happens? When H2 molecule is combining with the metal, it forms a metal hydride. The molecular hydrogen is becoming the atomic hydrogen, which is absorbed on the surface of palladium. When it diffuses, when the hydrogen is coming out, again two atomic hydrogen atoms combining to liberate hydrogen molecule. So this is a special case. Okay. So first, hydrogen molecule is absorbed on the surface of palladium in its voids. In the interstitial portions, it is present as atomic hydrogen. When the atomic hydrogen is coming out, it is forming the hydrogen molecule. Okay. So this reversible uptake of hydrogen is playing a major role in the production of rechargeable metal hydride batteries. So hydrogen is a fuel. We can use hydrogen as a fuel. So this reversible uptake of hydrogen can be utilized in the principle of making rechargeable metal hydride batteries. So like a sponge, the binary hydride liberate hydrogen molecule. When it absorbs, it becomes atomic hydrogen. Next, what is the role of hydrogen molecule as a fuel? We know that we will not use fossil fuels for a longer period. So now we are consuming fossil fuels in a larger amount. We use petrol, diesel, kerosene, LPG and so on. So these fossil fuels cannot be used for a longer period. It will be consumed. So it will be exhausted. So around 50 years we can use, maximum 50 years of fossil fuels, and all will be exhausted. Then what will be the future fuel? So hydrogen gas can be the future fuel, right? And the hydrogen can be obtained from different sources. Hydrogen can be obtained from fossil fuels. At the same time, it is very difficult to get it from water molecule. Okay, so the reaction will be an explosive reaction. So hydrogen is actually the very small gaseous molecule, and it is non-pollutant in nature. So in the vehicles, two-wheelers and four-wheelers and the heavy vehicles, we can use hydrogen as a fuel, and it is not making the pollution. Okay, so like electric vehicles, the hydrogen-based vehicles will not produce the pollutants. So advantages of hydrogen fuel is, it is a highly having a calorific value. So the fuel can be directly used. Like fossil fuels, we can use hydrogen as a direct fuel. Then we have a fuel cells also. So in fuel cells, we use the hydrogen gas to produce electricity. Okay. So the future fuel will be hydrogen. Instead of fossil fuels, we may use hydrogen gas as the future fuel. It will behave like the fossil fuels. The calorific value will be more, and it is highly volatile in nature. Then what are the disadvantages of this hydrogen? So production cost will be high. The H2 molecule production cost will be high. If we get hydrogen from the fossil fuels, definitely after 50 years it cannot be obtained from the fossil fuels, and it is a highly flammable nature. So the hydrogen gas is a highly inflammable nature, so it is very difficult to carry. Okay. So it may lead to accidents, and since it is a smaller molecule, easily it can escape. Okay. So hydrogen will be the future fuel, but we need advanced technologies in order to reduce the disadvantages. We need advanced technologies. So after 50 or 100 years, hydrogen will be the future fuel. So with this, we complete this lesson. Tomorrow onwards, we start next lesson, chemical bonding. Thank you.